Hello, this is Patricia Aiken. I recently had the privilege to record a phone conversation with Dave Hall. Please take a few minutes to listen. I know you'll be interested in what Dave has to say.
Well, thank you very much, Patricia. I really appreciate the invitation to share this information with you. And I want to start off with just by giving a quick thumbnail of who the guest speaker on the phone is and what their credentials and background are. A lot of times people edify me across the United States and say some incredible things as I travel and work with Legal Shield. But the truth is my background isn't that prestigious. I actually don't have a high school diploma. I have about a 10th grade education. I did manual labor jobs up until the age of 28 when I was introduced to Legal Shield. And the reason that is when I was about 16 years of age, my father was diagnosed with cancer. He spent the next few years going in and out of the VA hospital system, going through radiation and chemotherapy and surgeries to save his life. And during that time, there was no income coming into our home. Well, I was one of 9 children at home. I was one of the oldest ones. And so I realized it was time to go get a job and try to meet some of the family financial needs. And here's what I found out. When you don't have a high school diploma or a GED, you get minimum wage or pretty close to that. And that's where I stayed for many years. Years later, I was working at Jiffy Lube. I was the courtesy tech. I was the guy that vacuumed your car mats and checked the air pressure in your tires. And my friends who had stayed in school were now starting to graduate from college and see prestigious career opportunities. And I could tell by the cars that they drove that they made more money in 1 month than I made in an entire year. And that's when it hit me. I need to do something different. I need to make more money. And that's when I found the home-based business industry. It wasn't Legal Shield. It was another company. But I fell in love with the concept of work when you want, with who you want, from the comfort of your home, no overhead, no boss, literally do as little or as much as you want, but most importantly, no glass ceiling on your potential.
Dave, I got to ask you, how many home-based businesses did you try before Legal Shield?
I tried 4 of them, and I failed miserably at all 4 of them, and I lost thousands of dollars trying to learn how to make the Holy Grail work, and I just couldn't do it. In fact, my wife had actually made me take a promise that we would never, ever do another home-based business ever again. I'm sure there's some people out there that raised their hand to the square and taken that oath with their spouse too. But that's when someone from her side of the family showed up to show us Legal Shield. So she made an exception because apparently her side of the family can be trusted. So anyhow, that's where we were, November 29th, 1999. A lady showed us a video about Legal Shield, and we were blown away. We were like, holy cow, we've got 2 kids and we don't even have our will done. We need this. And so we got the service right away with no intention of really doing the business. But then the lady said, well, I'm going to mail this application into the corporate office, and they're going to pay me X amount of money. And it blew me away how much she said. And I was like, hold on, for just watching that 15-minute video with us, the company's going to pay you how much again? And she told me the money amount. And I was like, that's more than I make for 2 days at work, sun up to sundown at a job I absolutely hate. I'm like, can all you watch is television with people? Because I'm smart. I can watch television. I can do what you just did. And so she's like, yeah, here, take this video. You can go show people. And so I started showing people weekends and evenings. Some said yes, some said no. I worked with the ones that said yes and waited for the ones that said no to come back later. But the ones who said yes introduced me to other people. And here's what happened. Some said yes and some said no. And I worked with ones that said yes, and we just kept doing that within a few months. It was paying me more than my full-time job was paying me. So I transitioned. I went full-time with Legal Shield. My second year, I made a 6-figure income working with a company. We've never made less than 6 figures for the last 15 years in a row. But here's my favorite part. I'm still being compensated today for the work I did 16 years ago, because a lot of those happy customers are still on the books. So just like health, life, dental, auto insurance, all these other products that we pay for every single month, somebody is being compensated, but it's usually a large insurance company. But with Legal Shield, I still get that compensation 16 years later, and that turns out to be thousands of dollars a week passive residual income that is willable to the next generation. After I leave this earth, my family inherits a business model that we built on a part-time basis that has now paid out millions of dollars in commission. And so I'm passionate about helping people, and that's one of the reasons why Legal Shield is just such a good fit for me. And there's a lot of injustices that are done to good, hardworking Americans and Canadians across North America. And unfortunately, it requires money to fix a lot of these challenges. And, some people say, money is the root of all evil. And to that I say, no, the lack of money is a lot more evil out there. Because when people don't have any money, they starve to death. They're homeless. They, get, messed up in crimes and things like that. But with money, you can do a lot of good for a lot of people. And one of the best things you can do, other than outside of give a man a fish, is to teach a man how to fish. Teach a man how to have that self-respect and that dignity, and to be able to provide for his family. But when you can teach others how to teach how to fish, you can end world hunger altogether. And so what we want to accomplish today is to teach some people not only how to fish, but teach them how to teach others how to fish, so this can grow virally out there. Let's start off by talking about just a few of the benefits of the Legal Shield membership. And one of my first and favorite benefits is just the unlimited phone consultation. And this is so simple because when you become a member of Legal Shield, you simply download an app on your phone that you can touch one button. Your law firm comes on the phone. Now, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you can dial a number and call the law firm, but it actually isn't on an app right now. You can just tap one button, law firm answers the phone, how can we help you? And you let them know, hey, I need to talk to a real estate attorney or a family law attorney or criminal attorney or, document attorney, whatever it might be. Ask whatever you want to ask. Talk to them as long as you want. We know the average attorney in America right now charges almost $300 an hour. And you think, how many hours of your hard-earned time do you need to put in at work to pick up the phone and just call one time to talk to an attorney? And that's why most people avoid talking to attorneys. We try to figure out ways to get around it. We use the Google law firm, or we ask our friends. We take polls in our neighborhood and stuff like that. But the cool thing is with the Legal Shield app, you don't have to look in your bank account to find out if you're being treated unfairly or if you have legal rights about something. On top of phone consultation, we do contract and document review up to 15 pages. We'll also send out letters and make phone calls on your behalf to resolve legal situations. In fact, I've used this numerous times, well over 100 times at this point, which is kind of funny because for the first 28 years of my life, I had never used an attorney. Even though I have attorneys in the family, I never used them. But now, since becoming a Legal Shield member, I've used it hundreds of times. And it's not because becoming a Legal Shield member made me a criminal. It just made it affordable to now all of a sudden access those rights. But I had a challenge with a cell phone company a little while back and had a dispute about my cell phone bill. They wouldn't resolve it the way that I thought was fair. And so after arguing with them and saying, I'm not going to pay this bill, I refuse to pay this bill, this is nothing more than legalized extortion, they said, well, we'll turn you over to a credit collections company, and they'll get the money from you. And I thought, man, if I don't pay it, they're going to put on my credit report, and all kinds of bad things are going to happen when I try to go buy a car or a house or anything else like that in the future. If I've got all these delinquent payment things on my credit report. And so it almost makes you want to pay it just so you can avoid these negative things out there. But I picked up the phone and I called my law firm. My attorney reviewed the phone bill, reviewed my contract, and then my attorney simply sent one letter into that cell phone company, and all of a sudden they did a 180 and changed their position on that disputed money amount instantly. And it's amazing how arguing for hours on my behalf didn't help me at all, but just 2 paragraphs, all of a sudden that company do an about face.
I've had to waste the last 3 years as a pro se litigant in a situation because I completely forgot about this program. I used to be involved when it was called prepaid legal, and I used to use it every now and then for these kinds of things. And for some reason, 15 years later, 12 years later, I'd completely forgot about it. And I was in this mode to try to reconcile something with someone. And if I'd had this service then, I think one of those ugly lawyer letters would have saved me from this 3 years that I have in stress of being a pro se litigant.
It's funny you bring that up because we could go on for hours of stories, and I scan in and keep a digital copy of every single letter that the attorney sends on my behalf, and I've used them for everything from issues over $1 million for a real estate deal that went south when the economy collapsed in 2007 and the developer and the contractor got in a dispute, and I was simply an investor in the subdivision, all the way down to an issue over $1.50 on a utility bill that should not have been snuck in there. And to have an attorney send a letter over $1.50, to me it wasn't that I couldn't pay the $1.50, it was the principle that they were putting an extra $1.50 in that bill that shouldn't be there. Now, some people, I think that's nicky-nack. Well, what if you do that to 10,000 people, 100,000 people? Companies can get rich off of sliding extra little fees and stuff in there that are nothing more than theft. And to me, it was the principle of the issue. It was so nice to have my attorney go to bat for me, even over a small amount. But again, sometimes people think, I've never needed an attorney. Well, have you ever signed a contract, a document? You got a speeding ticket? Have you got an up-to-date will or estate plan? Have you ever been treated unfairly? All of these things happen to us, but at $300 an hour, we've always thought this is not a legal problem. It's just a nuisance. Well, the truth is they all have legal ramifications if not handled properly. And the fact is we shouldn't be being treated unfairly. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And it's time to stand up and say, I've had enough. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. But on top of that, traffic ticket representation. You receive a moving traffic violation anywhere in America, send it into the law firm. The goal of the attorneys is to keep the points, fines, penalties reduced or dismissed off your driving record. We also have lawsuit protection, up to 300 hours of coverage that you can be protected for. We also do IRS audit protection. If you're audited, 50 hours of tax attorney time to prepare for that audit and go to that audit. And then family situations. Now, this part kicks in 90 days after you become a member, but we cover uncontested divorces, adoptions, annulments, and name changes. And we all know family members and friends who've gone through those situations where they were painful, but they were also very expensive. In fact, just yesterday, I was on the phone with a lady who was trying to adopt a young child whose mother just couldn't handle him anymore and was giving him up. And she's like, it's going to cost us between $5,000 to $10,000 to go through this adoption. And it's not contested. The mother wants us to have him, everything else like that. It's just filing all the papers, the attorney fees, the retainers, everything else like that. And when I showed her the legal plan and what we do for this price, she almost crying on the phone. She was so happy about that. And if anything comes up that we haven't covered 100% up to this point, do all other legal services at 25% discount. So that would be your criminal charges, your DUIs, your bankruptcies, things like that. But over 91% of the issues that our Legal Shield members called the law firm for last year were covered 100%, no deductible, no out-of-pocket expenses whatsoever. Now I'm going to shift gears real quick and talk real quickly about identity theft for just a few minutes. It's been the #1 reported crime in America for over 15 consecutive years. It shows no sign of slowing down. It's almost impossible to catch the criminals. And last year alone, almost half of America was documented to have their identity stolen. The vast majority of those people don't even know that their identity was stolen because it was in data breaches from large corporations, from hospitals, from banks, financial institutions, school systems, you name it, their information has been compromised. And those are the ones we've documented that we know about. How many more people have had their identity stolen? We just never documented it. We didn't know it. It didn't get turned into a government agency where they could track it. It is a huge, huge problem. First thing we do is we give everyone in the family a copy of their credit report so they can see what their identity looks like right now. But then we monitor it, and we monitor 34 billion websites every single day looking for your personal information. We're looking in, black internet rooms. We're looking on for purchases. We're looking for new accounts, derogatories, change of address, public records, liens, even post office change of address forms. We are looking for your personal information. We'll notify you every time we see a hit, every time we see a match. You'll be notified instantly. Hey, is this you? If it's you, let it go through. If it's not you, you then simply sign a limited power of attorney document over to our company. We assign a licensed private investigator to your case to come in and completely restore your identity to the good name that it was before the problem happened. That is so huge because no other company in the world does that. Everyone that claims to be in the identity theft arena gives you a credit report and monitors it. We're all using the same software. There's not a big difference there. But everyone else sends you a do-it-yourself kit or gives you a credit counselor in India to talk to, and you have to solve the problem. You have to deal with the stress and all the garbage out there. But we back our work up with a $5 million service guarantee. No one in the industry even comes close to that. Now, we do this all for a family, for only $39.90. If you're a single person, no spouse, no children, $27.90. That is literally either a little bit less than $1 a day if you're a single person, or a little bit over $1 a day if you're a family, to protect your family against two of the biggest problems in America today. So we like to say usually for about $1 a day, we solve two of the biggest problems in America today. And that's not a financial issue. You know, nobody sits there and thinks, oh man, is my family worth $1 today? Obviously, everyone's worth it. And that leads us then to the business opportunity. But I'm going to throw in one more caveat that we added a couple years ago, and that is our membership perks. We have over 500 companies of large services and goods of major corporations that have come to us and said, hey, we want to offer your members a substantial discount because we want these 4 million customers to come and shop at our stores. So, for example, through AT&T, I have 5 iPhones with my family through AT&T, and we get a 20% discount on our cell phone bill simply because we're Legal Shield associates. We get discounts when we travel to hotels. We get discounts going out to eat. We get discounts at AutoZone. We get discounts at theme parks. We get discounts buying electronics online, huge discounts. And so the discounts alone are greater than the cost of my membership. So if I canceled my membership, I would lose those discounts. The net result would be I would spend more money to not have Legal Shield than I would to have Legal Shield, and I wouldn't have any of the protection. So it's not a membership that costs money. It actually saves you a substantial amount of money. They say the average family saves about $2,300 a year using just the perks alone in our membership. And that's on top of the great benefits of having legal access and identity protection to your family. So why would someone not want?
This sounds like a no-brainer, Dave.
That by definition alone means that even if you don't have a brain, you could make that decision. And it really, really is. I can't imagine somebody saying, no, I want to spend more money and not have any protection for my family. So if that makes sense to you, obviously there's a business opportunity to be involved with it. And sometimes people say, oh, it sounds good to be true. This can't be real. Well, we've been around for 44 years. Guess what? We're real. We were publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange for almost 13 years. We've been around. We stood the test of time. We know what we're doing. We're the largest provider of legal services in all of North America. And business is absolutely booming for people who are looking to make some additional income to change not only their lives, but to bless the lives of people around them. And so if you're one of those people that are looking to make some additional income, and you wouldn't mind making a few $100s a month to a few $1,000s a month to some ridiculous 6- and 7-figure annual incomes, get back with the person that put you on this call, that shared this information with you so we can get you the compensation plan to show you how you can make on the low end, on the absolute lowest end, $100 for every person that says, well, that's a no-brainer. I want to protect my family, all the way up to over $300 for doing the exact same thing, overrides on what other people are doing, residual income forever for as long as those memberships are on the books, along with benefits, car allowances, paid vacations, and many other perks that take too long to explain. Patricia, do you have any other questions or comments about this call that we could share with the people that joined us today?
I do, Dave. I've really got to ask you something. This seems like it's tailor-made for people that are trying to raise money for organizations, for groups, for needs, to network themselves together to create some real powerful finances that aren't going to be based on selling T-shirts and asking for donations.
You know what? And it actually brings value to the people who are buying it. I've helped people, young men, go start this business, build it up, and then go on missions for their church where the business model actually pays for a mission for them to go out and spread the gospel out there. What an awesome experience. And the people who bought the membership from that young missionary don't feel like, oh man, I'm buying a $20, bag of dozen cookies or something, an overpriced product just to help fund them. The customer goes, hold on, I actually got more value than what I'm paying for, because our membership has never, ever in 44 years had a contract attached to it. And with 85+% of the customers staying on from year to year, what does that say that the value of the customer is receiving? It means overwhelmingly they don't want to be without it. And so you're absolutely right. If people say, hey, we want to fund this cause, we want to do this, maybe it's you just want to fund getting out of debt and being debt-free so that you're not slave to the almighty dollar or something else like that. Fund your own dreams, fund your own retirement, fund your own 401k, whatever it is. But there's some passionate causes out there about injustices that have been done to some people. And this is a great way to bond together with a group of like-minded Americans that believe in their constitutional rights and have watched other good people be trampled over. And if those people had the funds to stand up and fight, it would not be happening. But unfortunately, way too many Americans have not had access to that country club we call the judicial system. And with this, we are leveling the playing field. We're giving access to those families to protect their rights, to find out what they can do in those situations. But we're also creating revenue for the people who are the people sharing it. And it just makes me feel so good to know that every single day I'm making a difference in people's lives by protecting their families.
Court system's really messed up these days. And so I've been saying that the best way to get a fair shake in court is never to go to court. And I see this Legal Shield situation as being a great way to keep people out of court. Do your numbers show anything like that?
Absolutely. In fact, the American Bar Association backs that up exactly. They say that 80% of the litigation in the court system today would not be filed if one or both parties simply consulted with an attorney. But it's $60 to file a lawsuit against somebody, and it's $300 an hour to find out if you should. It's cheaper to just roll the dice and sue them and see what happens. And unfortunately, most Americans at $300 an hour have been completely priced out of the judicial system. Membership, unlimited phone consultation, find out what your rights are, have the attorneys review documents, make better decisions so that you can avoid ever ending up in the legal system.
Well, Dave, for $40 a month, and it's actually about $20 a month for the legal side of this, what kind of fly-by-night law firm are you going to wind up with?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that, because I've had people say, man, you can't find a bad attorney for $100 an hour, let alone a good attorney for $1 a day. Well, it's not your dollar. It's not my dollar. It's the 4 million people across America that are covered every single day, pitching in their small little portion to help pay the law firms a huge amount of money. In fact, I live in a very small population state in the great state of Utah, and we pay our law firm here over $100,000 a month as a retainer, basically, just to take care of the members here. But if you go to a bigger state, like, for example, say California, we use a law firm down there, Parker Stanberry. They've been around for over 100 years. Some of their clients are, Rite Aid, Allstate, Orange County, Disneyland, the Dodgers, and the list goes on and on and on. Well, we pay that law firm almost $2 million a month, and we only use AV-rated law firms, which is the highest rating that a law firm can receive through Martindale-Hubbell, the rating system, for over 100 years. So let me put it this way. If you were the head partner at a law firm and you had a client paying you $2 million a month, how would you treat that client?
Well, I'd treat him pretty darn well if it was me.
and that's why you can see how we get the best service from anybody out there, because literally the number one complaint at the Bar Association is, my attorney won't call me back. And this comes from people that drop down retainers of $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and it takes 2 weeks for their attorney to call them back. If you're a Legal Shield member, we guarantee you your attorney will always call you back within 8 business hours. That's unheard of in the legal industry.
Oh my gosh.
That attorney values his job, and he knows that every single day, if you call him, his job is to keep you happy.
That's pretty impressive. So let's talk about a little bit about the business model before we wrap up here, because people say, "Oh, is this just another one of these MLM things?" I think you've determined that it's not. But are people going to be able to go out and share this with people and and they're all going to have to be associates, or are they just going to be able to have customers like a regular insurance agent, say?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you asked that, because in the network marketing industry across the board, the distributor to customer ratio has almost never been more than 1 to 1.5. Usually, a lot of times it's just 1 to 1. The only people that are selling it are the people using it. But once in a while, it'll be 1 to 1.5. What I loved about Legal Shield is we have an 8 to 1 ratio. That means for every 8 customers, there's only one person selling it, which means if you took away the business model, the customer base would still be there. In other words, there's actual value. Now, there's some people that have chosen to go out there and offer this as an employee benefit, where companies, just like they offer health, vision, dental, supplemental policies and stuff, they offer identity theft and legal plans. There's also small business plans that we haven't even touched on for business owners that help with things like OSHA, workers' comp, landlord agreements, terminations, hiring, firing, debt collections, all the kind of things that small business owners need. Again, you can get back with the person that invited you on this call, and you can find out more about those type of plans also. But I love the fact that we have a product that actually has a value that you can go out there and share with people, and they can become a customer, and maybe they don't want anything to do with the business opportunity. They just simply want to be a happy customer and give you and I have thousands of those people over the years that I've been doing this business.
Okay, Dave, well, to be able to get into a business like this that could potentially pay you 6 or 7 figures a year, you and your family, and do it even after you're gone, how much is that going to cost someone? I mean, business opportunities can be pretty pricey.
You're absolutely right. And I mentioned earlier that I tried 4 other network marketing companies before Legal Shield. The absolute cheapest one was $500. The most expensive one was $5,000. And I put it on a credit card. It took me over 3 years to pay it off at 20-something% interest, and I never made a dime in that company. So I probably actually paid close to $10,000 when it was all said and done for a company that I fell flat on my face on. Here's what I love about Legal Shield. You can get started for a once-in-a-lifetime investment of only $99. Less than $100. In other words, you find one family that says, yes, I want to protect my family with this membership. I don't even want to do the business. I just want to be a customer. You've now made more than you actually paid to get in business. Your overhead, your monthly overhead, and a lot of those other companies, they had this thing called auto ship, and they'd send me $200 a month worth of crap that I had to try to consume or use or give away, and so my overhead was just so high.
So you were garage qualified?
Yes, I was garage qualified. That means my car was on the curb. But the overhead for all your maintenance, website, applications, brochures, DVDs, accounting, everything that's done is $20 a month. $20 a month. And again, there's no contract on anything. If someone at any point says, hey, I want out. I don't want to do anything. There's no quotas. If they have a membership, they're vested with the company for life. There's no minimum monthly requirements, nothing. Now, we do have trips and bonuses and stuff like that for people that do a certain amount of volume, but once you reach a level in our company, you can never digress. You can never go back down. And so you don't have to hit certain volume requirements to stay at a level in our company.
Well, this sounds like a pretty impressive compensation plan, and I'm sure people can look into it more. But I think just for the sake of time that people should get back to the person that shared this recording with them and find out how they can get started, whether they just want to be a member or they want to be associate and help these families that we're trying to help. Seems like no better time to get started than right now.
Absolutely, and if anybody wants my contact information, Patricia, feel free to give it to me. I'm here to help every single person that got on this call.
Awesome. Dave, thank you for your time. An exciting conversation that we've had here today, and I so appreciate it.
Anytime, Patricia. You have a great day.
Thanks, Dave. You too.